My name is Z, and I am here to talk to you about a game I am currently playing. That's one from a series I really love, and from what I can tell, it's one that is not really talked about that much. So I am hoping to change it at least a little bit and talk about all of those games this year from that series, starting from the latest re-release. Wait, I had a box of it somewhere. Here it is. So, Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition. And let me tell you, I love it. So, I'm going to try and help you figure out if it's a game for you by saying what I think you might like it, why you might not really like it, and expand on its story, setting, combat, and music later on. But first, I would like to know if you've already played either the remaster or the original version of the game on Wii U, or are you planning on giving it a go? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Did you like the game? What you liked about it? What put you off of it and why? And if you feel so inclined, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content on Xenoblade Chronicles series, Switch 2 games, and other games I will want to talk about or review this year.
What should I whip up today?
So what is Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition? Xenoblade Chronicles X is a second game in the Xenoblade Chronicles saga that has been released on the Nintendo consoles. It started off with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on Wii, I believe, followed by Chronicles X on Wii U. We then got two more games on Switch, Chronicles 2 and Chronicles 3, and two re-releases of the first game on 3DS and then on Switch. Lastly, we got the Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition for Switch 1, which also received a resolution upgrade and some quality of life upgrades for the Switch 2. And that's the version I'm playing. So, I did play the original game back on Wii U, and I must say at that time it didn't really click with me. I was struggling to get ahead. The monsters that were in the game and blocking the story progression were too much for me, but I didn't really understand the game combat mechanics, which in hindsight really weren't that complicated. Later, I decided to give Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a go, craving some modern JRPGs, and gosh, did I fall in love with this game or what? And then last year I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is now one of my top favorite games of all time. So I thought Xenoblade Chronicles X deserved a second chance, and now it's the best time to play it.
What if it's a secret weapon, powerful enough to tip the scales?
Feels like a bit of a long shot, to be honest.
So the short version. This game might be for you if you like open world RPG games focused on exploration with a cool story that isn't, however, its main driving point. Think Skyrim, Starfield, and Ubisoft games. Huge, amazing areas with tons of stuff to do. It might be for you if you love having tons of quests to complete, where they do justice to the world building and expand on the universe. It's a game for you if you don't mind the fetch quests. Bringing in samples, collecting resources, killing monsters, it is what you will be doing a lot in this game. And the game is for you if you like sci-fi stories. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world where immediately from the very first cinematic sequence you learn that Earth got destroyed, and the survivors from Earth arrived on a new planet called Mira, where they have to learn how to live with the natives and how to survive in a new ecosystem, and also how to protect themselves from the aliens that attack them on Earth. Finally, the game is for you if you enjoy a mix of active and cooldown based combat system, where you get to move around the battlefield when your characters auto-attack, and then use skills preferably where you benefit from them the most. And this game is for you if you don't mind having little agency on the overall narrative. You get to pick your responses and dialogues, mostly between two of them, but it doesn't seem to have a huge impact on the overall narrative. I want to mention here that this game has a character creator system. You get to pick how your main character looks, what's their gender, what's their name, but overall it's not a very robust system. So you get to pick from a couple of hairstyles, your height, modify a couple of things here and there, and then throughout the game you get to transform the armors that you wear into any from the ones that you received, but that's about it. Okay, so the game isn't for you if you don't want to learn at least some basics about the combat, because there's tons of it. And you have to fight in order to progress through the story. And in all of those fights, understanding of the basics of the combat will be a deal breaker. At least it was for me back in the day, before the remaster, and I wouldn't advise going into this game without the willingness to learn a bit about it. You wouldn't like this game if you want the game to have the enemies always on your level. So you will often run through areas with monsters roaming about, which are way too strong for you, so you won't be able to defeat them and you would have to avoid them instead. Monsters have fixed levels, and oftentimes you will see those huge ass monsters circling around an open plain that you have to go through in order to progress through the story or to finish some quest. And you would have to find a path around it without dying or fighting the monster at that point in the game. And the game isn't for you if you can't stand bugs or spider enemies. It has many bug-like monsters and a lot of spider-like monsters, and there is no option to turn them off. And finally, if you suffer from motion-induced sickness, then you might struggle with this game. Personally, when I'm turning the camera while exploring, I have to move it quite slowly, and I also turned the rotation speed quite low in the settings. But there is no option to turn off motion blur completely or even lower the amount of it. While I toned it down a bit while exploring, during cutscenes you can still rotate the camera, and that is when the motion blur gets insanely bad. So for me, I just have to remember that I can't turn the camera where there is a cutscene, but the motion blur is heavy used in this game, so you have to watch out for it. And that would be the short of it. Now, if you want to learn more and know what I feel about the game, let's go a little deeper.
No, she's right. Sometimes I talk before thinking. Sorry about that.
Don't be silly. You don't need to apologize to me, sir.
Exploration. So, let me start first with what I love about the game the most and what really makes me unable to put it down. If you know the series, it's mainly focused on a story with cool characters and great combat, alongside very mesmerizing, fantastical lands that kind of stick to your brain, at least they did for me. And Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think when it comes to the locations and the biomes you get to explore, is a game like no other for me. I already have around 70 hours in the game and I don't think I covered half of it. There's always another nook and cranny that I haven't explored yet, and it makes me very, very exciting. There's caves, glowing plants, patches of trees inside the desert, ancient ruins popping up here and there. It's filled with all of those hidden details that you get to see while you explore, because when you'll be collecting things to deliver or fighting specific monsters, or meeting the NPCs for quests, they are all strategically placed for you to see all of those exciting things. And the world is like no other. The flora and fauna often interconnects the titles in the series, so it will have a lot of similar enemies and plants, but here they went for a little bit more of a realistic approach for the presentation, whereas the other titles lean more towards the JRPG anime side of it. So think games like Final Fantasy 13 or 10, as opposed to Tales of Series or Trails of Series. And honestly, the creatures there are amazing as well. I just love how you have this huge variety of animals like creatures in varying sizes, like those huge tall animals that are just out there, going about their lives, drinking from fountains or ponds or something like that, and you just go doing the stuff you're supposed to do, and then you stumble upon something next to you that starts to move, and you suddenly realize it's a leg and it has a tail, and it's huge as a building, and it has a head that's drinking water, and I was just mesmerized. They are all tall and majestic, quite often not aggressive. And then you have those aggressive monsters that will attack you on sight, so you kind of learn how to avoid them. The game telegraphs that to you. They have an icon that they will be aggressive if they see you or hear you. So you get that, but nonetheless it's still a mesmerizing thing to see all of that kind of animals interacting with one another, with the environment, and not being static at all. So yeah, the world is just teeming with life. I can't get enough of it. Let's move on to the combat. So the enemies in the game, they don't scale with your level, as I already said. Right outside of the gate, when you start exploring, you will see different variety of monsters of different levels. You have to be cunning on how you get from one place to the other, and the zones are also not progressive, so it's not like you will get to zone A that is between level 1 and 15, and then you move on to zone B, which is from 15 to 30. No, it's all like intertwined, it's all mixed up. And oftentimes the quest will lead you to a new destination where you have to get through a higher level enemies to get back to the lower level enemies. So the game kind of forces you to explore and to see what is where for the future as well. So it's a very living kind of a world you just have to adjust to. The combat itself, as I already mentioned, has free movement and auto attack and weapon specific skills that go on a cooldown once used. So you select the class that you get to change freely outside of combat. The classes are split into 3 categories and 2 subclasses per each. Each class comes with 2 weapons, 1 melee and 1 ranged. So you have your tank with greater survivability, your warrior dealing high level damage, and your support / DPS hybrid, someone who has more supportive skills and heals than the other classes, but still deals good amount of damage. In the game you play in a party of 4, your character and 3 NPC companions that you get to recruit through the missions. They come with their own unique twists on the classes you get to pick. You get to control the NPCs in your party, but you can only control one character at a time. So it's either your created character on an NPC and the rest will act according to the behaviors that they have. And you get to choose your companions and switch them in and out, outside of combat, wherever you want. Apart from very specific missions that require certain characters to participate in them, and the game will tell you that you can't have specific characters in your party for those missions, or you need to have specific characters in your party for that mission. So it telegraphs very well what it needs you to do and if you need to change your party, but that happens very rarely. Most of the time you can just have whomever you want with you and you get to play them if you want to as well. And of course some characters hold their own better than others. I was especially annoyed with this one healer who kept on insisting on fighting with melee weapons and dying from the huge enemies' AoE's attack constantly because they are being just stomped to death. Important thing is you get to issue your NPC companions some commands that will allow you to coordinate the battlefield. You can tell them to use the melee attacks only or ranged attack only to conserve the skills and not use them all the time. So you get a bit of control with what they do. And it's also very important because some enemies will have different body parts that you get to destroy. And if you want to make sure that you destroy that body part, you can tell your companions to focus the attacks on whatever part you are attacking at the moment. So that's quite useful. You can also call them back to you, which is also useful for if you want to lure an enemy out of wherever they are right now. So the combat is really lively and the companions are manageable, and if you want to issue them commands, they can really be an asset. One huge thing about the combat is shoutouts, or callouts as they are called in the game. So they are these voice comments done by your NPC teammates. So every once in a while your teammates will shout out a command to you, and the text is not really that important, but what is important is they are telegraphing to you what type of skill they want you to use next. You don't have to respond to it, but if you do and use a skill they are requesting, both you and that NPC companion will be healed for a small amount of health. And actually this is what is really important, because this callout system is the most effective way for you to get healed, to restore your health in combat. You get healing items, but in a very, very limited amount, so it's best not to use them just willy-nilly. And you also have healer classes or skills that you are allowed to heal, but they are usually on very long cooldowns and are not really something you should be depending on. Callouts are what you need to utilize in order to heal yourself and your party. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into that. As I already said, it's less important what they're saying, but their shoutouts will be in a specific color that will correspond with a skill on your skill bar. So a shoutout will be in yellow, which means you need to use one of your skills which are colored in yellow, or orange, or green, or blue, or purple, or white. They will call for specific skill. If you have that skill, you can use that, and you and that person will be healed. If you don't do that, if you don't use such a skill, because you have it on cooldown, or the character you're controlling just doesn't have it, another NPC companion you have in your party might have it, and will probably use it instead of you, which is again also a good thing, because then both of those NPCs will again be healed for a small amount of health. Occasionally, your character will activate a shoutout themselves. You get to kind of customize the triggers for the shoutout and what kind of a skill you request and what that shoutout will give to you if activated, apart from health. But the implementation of it is quite limited. Nonetheless, usually when there is a chance to trigger a callout from a specific situation, for example, your character destroyed a body part of an enemy or was stunned or something, then if there is a chance to trigger a callout, you will get this small exclamation mark next to that skill that you can activate at that moment, which might create a callout from you to your NPC companions. And in order to activate it, there will be a small QuickTime event where you have to press the B button in a specific moment. If you do it perfectly, then the bonus that you received to health will be a little bit bigger. What's important about your character-controlled shoutouts is that when you trigger the shoutout and your companion responds to it, then your entire party will be healed. So they are the most useful thing that you can get, but the triggers are not 100%. So if you select a trigger that says activate when you destroy a body part, it's not a guarantee that you will always get it. Okay then, a few tips from me for combat. Don't be afraid to change the classes and experiment with them. They keep their progress, so you can switch them back and forth. You can change them anytime outside of combat, so you don't have to go talk to anyone. You just go into the menu and you change it. And once you master a subclass, you get to keep those two weapons regardless of the class you are currently on. So mastering your favorite ones, it's also a thing you can do. And another suggestion is don't just avoid the combat. If it's in your way to a point and you get attacked or you see an enemy you can fight, do yourself a favor and fight that fight. This way you will level up and you will not get stalled in specific moment having to grind a level in order to do a specific quest. And when we talk about quests, don't get over fixated on the main story quest. There are other important quests as well that you can do that might be in your appropriate level when the main quest is not. So if your quest is like you would need to grind levels in order to do it, do yourself a favor, just grab the quest that you can do from the side missions and companion quests and do that, and your level will grow exponentially, and also you will unlock additional things for your companions which will make them more useful in battle.
If we go straight, we should hit some caves that lead to our destination.
Okay, then moving on to questing. Quests in this game are split into categories. So you have your main story quest marked in red. You have important story quests in orange, where you get to meet different NPCs and recruit them, or explore their backgrounds and also expand on the game's universe and its setting. And finally you have your side quests, which are in green, which do more world building but are not necessary for you to complete the game or expand your rooster. But they always feel connected to the story in a meaningful way, which I just adore. And finally you have also blue quests called orders, and those are just your fetch quests, kill a monster quest that you get millions of. You can pick up to 20, I believe, and you just get to complete them while you do the other quests as well, because you would just stumble upon the thing to pick up, the monster to kill. So I don't focus on them, I just do them on my way to certain to other things. And those quests are how you be told the story of the game, the main plot. But honestly, everything else, just exploration of the world, will expand your knowledge of the universe and of what the game is all about. Because the quests are locked between certain levels, they have level requirements, I don't think you will be able to speed run through the game. If you would try to do only the main quest, you will have to grind for levels. So my advice, take your time, pick the quest that you want to do. If you have a quest that you can't yet do because of your level, pick another one. Just make sure that you don't get to, or you are not forced to grind in this game. If grinding is your thing, feel free to do just that. But I think doing that on your way to explore the entire world is just, it was much more fun for me. The overall narrative is quite interesting, it was to me. It's quite sci-fi. You will meet other alien races and learn about the events that led to the Earth destruction and about what's happening in the universe in total. The characters you meet are also quite interesting, and a lot of time they are just crazy. Despite it being a JRPG, I would say they are not JRPG trophies, but they are still very specific in their own quirky way. So don't expect the story to be serious all of the time. I would say it's more on the silly side, with seriousness where the situation demands it. Some quests can get really dark, but it does offer a lot of comic relief, and some of it, for me, is a hit or miss. I like it, and I find certain things funny, but some are just, I don't really care for them. Nonetheless, the story isn't bad. I would call it a good sci-fi soap opera, and that's where the huge difference between other Xenoblade Chronicles games comes into light, because Xenoblade Chronicles Saga is overall very narrative heavy and focused on the narrative. There is exploration, but the story is definitely the center point, and here there is story and it's important, but exploration is definitely in the forefront. And finally, let me talk about the music in this game, and oh my god, the music in this game is just phenomenal. I love the music in all of the Xenoblade Chronicles games, but here the music composed by Hiroyuki Savana is just so insanely good. Most of it has vocals as well, and it's kind of modernized, I would say. The tracks really stick to my brain. I think all of the tracks are recorded in English, and as I said, they really do stick. I have that soundtrack with me in my favorites of all times, and it's not going away anytime soon. And I think what's important is it doesn't get in your way of exploration or combat, but it's hard not to notice when the tracks start, especially in combat, like with bosses and everything. I tune in immediately and hear that music that I really adore, and of course it makes the battle that much more enjoyable. So to sum up, When it comes to open world games, I think this one is definitely my favorite because of the world that it is settled in. I love the monsters, the animals, I love how the monsters have different sizes. I love how you can just go and stumble upon a cave full of this kind of rabbit-like foxes, and then you have this tall, insanely pretty creature that just drinks water next to you and you just go past it. I love how the flora just lights up at night and looks so insanely beautiful. The amount of screenshots I have taken in this game is bonkers. I don't know why, but I feel compelled to take a screenshot every time I see something that I find beautiful, and I see a lot of beautiful things in this game. I will not use them anyway, but here we are. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and this review helped you decide whether Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition, is a game for you, or perhaps not really. And if I got to get you into the Xenoblade Chronicles universe, then I'm just that much more happy for it, because I think the series is amazing and it is worthy of your time. So, thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye! Guest starring Czarna, one of my cats.